Hello, this is Devin Plummer, and this is the next episode of the Political Power Hour, where we discuss respectfully but critically topics of the past and present uh, surrounding just political issues that I sort of find interesting. So, yeah, I'm your host, and today we'll be talking about a sort of, not sort of, definitely like a divisive and very heated topic in abortion. And today I am with.
Hi, I'm Riley Zeller, and I am a junior here at Fort Hays. I am currently serving as the Vice President of Students for Life, which is the pro life organization here on campus.
Heck yeah. Um, so, yeah, like I said, it's definitely like a uh, very divisive topic. There are a few of those sort of hot button issues that we have in the United States. And this one sort of, has a fair amount of history, back towards, the 60s with like Roe v. Wade. And um, so it's definitely something that's kind of hung around throughout like American history and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, would you want to go into maybe like your like position on it and possibly like why you came to that conclusion?
Yeah, so I am entirely pro life from conception to natural death. So as soon as fertilization happens, that is a life that I would consider, and abortion is unnecessary and unlawful and anti-human right in every situation. I have pretty much always felt this way, always been predominantly pro-life, but learning more about the pro-life movement and just the terrors of abortion has really strengthened my views and my argument of, a life being a life, again, from conception to natural death.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say if you're looking at it sort of objectively, I think you'd have to agree because the definition that I mean, if you look up the definition on Google, it's the deliberate termination of a human being. Um, and it's I believe it said it's usually performed during the first 28 weeks. I believe was what I remembered. And 28 weeks. That's you look at photos of like uh, a baby in the womb at 28 weeks, and there's like I mean you can tell like that's a that's a
Mm-hmm.
person. Um,
Yeah, so once like you hit the like about 23 mark, 23 weeks in pregnancy mark, after that, like from every week, your baby's chance of survival
mm,
increases. So like
gotcha.
I don't know the exact statistic, but if a baby were to be born at 28 weeks with of course NICU time and a lot of health intervention,
Mm.
you have a very good chance of having a healthy baby um,
I
and
believe it like
viable.
6 8 weeks. Isn't that heartbeat? I believe
Yeah, six.
six
Yeah.
six 8 weeks. Um, which I mean that's insane, and on its own, I feel like that it only takes that long, and there's already um, uh, so much happening.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'd say I'd have to agree too. Uh, I'd say I'm pretty much pro life, and I'd say too that there are definitely choices to be had in pro life. I'm all for choices. Contraception, abstinence, motherhood. I'm just adoption. I'm just not down for the last one,
Mm-hmm.
which is murder.
Mm-hmm.
um, and it's I find it interesting too because there's a lot of people using their um, own judgments to decide kind of the morality of it, what's right and wrong. And it's become, I think, a very subjective thing. And the reality of it is, no, there's an objective right and wrong. Um, and I'd say if you're on the side of like human rights, this is definitely in the wrong category. But I don't know, maybe that has to do with possibly like the lack of accountability. A lot of the times. So yeah, we definitely hit on that, like the place of where life begins, and from what I can find, it's they're kind of like two arguments that kind of pop up, like fertilization or uh, what's contraception. That's the other word. Like, and that's definitely a thing that very much matters in this context, like where especially legally, where where do you think that sort of begins?
Like where life begins.
Yeah,
exactly.
And it's a big question.
Yeah, no, if I think you can take a test as early as like within like 3 or 4 weeks after conception, and you can start getting positive pregnancy tests. But even before that, like as soon as as we get down to the science of it, the embryo and sperm, join, and a life forms, a zygote forms, that is going to form into what we are today, humans. So I don't think that there is any, abortion's bad at 6 weeks, abortion's bad at 12 weeks, or whatever. I think it's just no, all the way. Once it has happened and you are pregnant, no abortion.
Sure. And just yeah, I mean, I agree. Just I always kind of, in a way, just for me, and maybe for other people to learn something, I like to play devil's advocate a little bit, and just so like just ask. I know you touched on like the human rights portion of it, and we've discussed like the morality of like taking a life. Is there any other like reasons you can sort of think of to like why why full stop is it just no on abortion?
Yeah, I mean, at the very basics of it, it is a human life. From conception, at the very beginning, it is a human life. It'll form into a baby, into a full-grown person one day. And so I think that's the one thing that cannot ever be refuted. That it's human life, and no one has the right to destroy that baby and prevent that life from forming. And I know we hear a lot, my body, my choice, but it is not your body. There is a second body there. I mean, you see if a pregnant woman gets into a car accident and she is pregnant, whoever, of course, if it wasn't an accident,
it's a double homicide,
they would be charged with double homicide. So the courts obviously say that there's two people there. There's two people that passed away there, but when it's in this context, they're blurring the lines there.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that's a good segue too. Maybe to sort of, after sort of talking about the definition, kind of where we stand on it, the morality of it, and I think that's a good segue to talk about sort of like the sort of like opposition, I suppose, towards like pro-life. That being pro-choice, and some of like their arguments. And I think that you kind of hit it on the hit the nail on the head there with talking about what makes it okay versus not okay. Because there seems to be different lines drawn, whether it, 6 weeks, 10 weeks, the beginning. Unfortunately, that there have happened, like 9 months, which is pretty crazy. It's, I think that's the good segue, right? Is there seems to be different lines drawn of like when it's okay, and it's, from my understanding, like towards them, it's just a matter of location. It here in the womb, okay, but here, not okay. And so it's this fascinating how they devalue a life, based on something as little as like location. And I find that just odd, I suppose.
Yeah, and how they value the life based on want and based on love, because I mean, it's truly heartbreaking when you see a mother who has a child, or they may have two children, whatever. She gets pregnant and she doesn't want this one, so it's not convenient for them, so they turn to abortion, which is just horrible. You shouldn't have made that act to get pregnant in the first place if that's not something that you wanted. But it's just truly out of convenience. And, well, I don't want one now, but maybe in 5 years when the situation's better, because you hear parents now, there's never a right time to have a kid. It's always going to be hard. And so it's what's not convenient of them. And they don't want a kid. They don't own up to their mistakes of what they did.
No, I agree that there's, like I said, the accountability is, well, I think that's kind of two things, like hopping up on the soapbox here just to talk about, sort of our generation a little bit. There's way like a super amount, like lack of accountability and like self-worth. And I don't even think it's like specific to one gender, really. I think there's guys and girls of like kind of ours. They kind of do what they want when they want, and then it's like every now and then they might feel bad for something that they did, but it doesn't affect like their kind of their thoughts and their emotions that well. And so they just kind of go throughout life just not like that much of a care. And then a part of like the self-worth is definitely something that is somewhat concerning too. Is I don't think often people don't think about like the actions that they perhaps like partake in, kind of like show that while you might not be thinking it, it's just you are showing that you like don't take care of yourself. You don't like, kind of care. And it's definitely those two things that I don't know if it's just possibly becoming more prevalent. And that's sort of what leads to like more and more like abortions, because I can't remember like exact statistics, but like yearly it's a lot. Like it's a concerning amount. And I don't know if it's just how society has changed has like unfortunately boosted those numbers. I don't know. it it's definitely true though that it's odd where like the line is drawn for morality, and I think you said it well too. It's just like it's uh whenever it's convenient to
Mm-hmm.
have morals, whenever it's easiest for me. Um, and I definitely agree that once um, like a kid enters the picture, uh, it's like uh, guess what? You and like um, yeah, your wife's life, that your guys' old life, that's over.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's for the kid
Yeah.
now. And it's I mean, no doubt it's I mean, I can't tell you because I'm not a father yet, but I can only imagine what a responsibility
Mm-hmm.
it is to have a kid, and no doubt it's hard. No doubt it's gonna take up everything, but um, that's what our parents did for
Mm-hmm.
us. So that's what every kid should get the same sort of treatment and rights that we have to
Yeah.
uh, life and prosperity.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, the couple other, I guess, like opposition points. Uh, I know, like I've heard a lot talking about um, only life that's like viable outside of the
Mm-hmm.
womb. I don't know if you've ever like heard of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I know the thing that I always go back to is uh, or like consciousness. I've heard that one too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like life's only worth something if it has consciousness, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. My mind always goes for like, what about people in comas?
Exactly.
And it's or like old people with like dementia, and
Yeah.
it's like, are we just gonna kill them? Are we?
Exactly.
and it just sort of, I guess it's not like a matter of life. It's just a matter of convenience and placement.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, there are so many. Uh, and the other one I definitely hear quite a bit is if it can't sustain, if like uh, the the baby can't like sustain life on its own,
Mm-hmm.
then that it's not really a life. What about a 2-year-old?
Yeah. I obviously, when you're pregnant, you are sustaining that baby's life. They're alive because
Hmm.
they're inside of you. But yeah, when you have a 5 month old, when you have a 2 year old, when you have, I mean, once they get past a toddler, they can, figure it out. But like,
They're
there's,
gonna need you
yeah,
out. Yeah.
not just once they're born, you can just leave them alone.
Hmm.
Like, they're, I mean, even today, like, we're adults, but we still need sustaining from somebody else. Like, we still need our parents. We
Oh
still,
yeah.
um, as much as we say we can do it all our own, we can't do it on our own. Um,
Absolutely.
so that is just a terrible argument.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. No. I don't. I didn't. Oh, and I guess I sort of uh, the last one that I have, and then maybe we can go into some that you've heard, is like the language behind it. Um, they often use uh, like the word fetus. I've heard quite
mm-hmm.
a bit, and just what I kind of find funny, like I'll look up the definition of the word fetus, and it's offspring of a human
Mm-hmm.
or other mammal and other stages of parental development that follow the embryo stage. It's in humans taken at the beginning of 8 weeks after conception. They want to use the word fetus because it doesn't say human baby.
Yeah, they
And
want to dehumanize it so you don't sound evil when you say it.
I just
Yeah,
find the definition funny because
yeah,
it says human in
yeah,
the definition.
yeah.
Yeah, no, the language behind that is, or that just reminded me of another one, clump of cells.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, guess what? We're all like clump of cells.
Still clumps of cells.
We're all cells.
So,
and so it's just language that is, yeah, like you said, it's sort of sad because there's so many avenues that, I don't know. We keep saying they, and it's sort of, I wouldn't say, try to be careful how I phrase this. I wouldn't say it's everybody on the left. I'd say it's few, left and right. There's definitely a few, but it's those who use that language to, just dehumanize, and it's fairly sad.
They're trying to get you to not have feelings. I mean, same if a woman goes in to get an abortion, they're going to say, like, they don't want you to do an ultrasound. They don't want you to hear the baby's heartbeat. Because they know you're going to feel something. They know you're going to realize, oh, that's my baby in there. They're going to use the medical terms that you don't understand. They're going to say we're going to terminate the pregnancy, not abort the pregnancy, because that sounds less scary.
Right.
Just so they can honestly coerce these women into an abortion.
I think that's a good point too. If you'd like to go into it, that there's some definitely perpetuating lies out there about the practice of abortion.
Yeah. Have you watched the movie Unplanned?
Unplanned. I think I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it. That one's
a really good pro-life one that really debunks a lot of the pro-choice, pro-abortion, abortion when necessary,
right.
That whole movement. But yeah, there's of course in different states there's going to be different laws that say, if you're under 18, a parent has to be there, or
especially now, right? With the Dobbs case at the Supreme Court threw it to the states.
Which since that case, there's been, the predominantly right states are going very right, and we're saying, okay, abortion's banned at the end of first trimester.
It was, I believe, for example, Texas, right? Yeah. There's the heartbeat bill.
Yeah. And we're seeing a lot more people pass that, which is great. But then at the same time, we're seeing a lot of the predominantly left states go very left and very just outrageous with their laws. So, some of them are even, you don't need a parent, or you don't need this and that or whatever. But typically, if you're under 18, they're going to want you to have a parent, or they say, okay, you can't get the abortion done at the first meeting.
Right.
You have to wait a few days to think about it or whatever. That's kind of how it used to be. But now it's, okay, I'll go in, 10-second appointment. The doctor's just going to check if there's a heartbeat in there. They don't want you to hear it. They're just going to say, okay, we're going to do the procedure now. They can do it in-house. The abortion pill is scarily easy to get because they don't want you to know any of the side effects to it. They don't want you to know, that's almost true.
Is it something you can get over the counter at a pharmacy, or is it something you need a doctor for?
Every state is different now, but I'm pretty sure you just call your doctor. They'll write you a script for it, and tell you that you want it. Which that one, the pill, the abortion pill is that one can actually be reversed within 48 hours after taking it, just because that one's less fast acting. You're not sucking the baby out. Sure. That's another thing they're not going to tell you is we're going to put a vacuum inside you.
What happens
and suck out the baby parts. I mean, you can look at pictures of an abortion and from second trimester and see a baby's leg, baby's head. And
that's what I find so weird when they say a painless operation. It's painless to who? Painless to...
because that baby started feeling pain in the first trimester,
In which... And that's a good point too to talk about. It's like, um, your heart goes out to these women who think that they need one.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that, and they're like, well, if it's my state is talking about banning one,
Mm-hmm.
then if what if I need one, then I don't feel safe, and then it and it's and not to to say that pregnancy is
Mm-hmm.
easy either. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's something that I can't speak on
Mm-hmm.
because I'm a guy. But from what I understand, it's considering from when we started medical innovations,
Mm-hmm.
it's extremely like safe nowadays. Because like that's something I hear too with like the fear of like pregnancy and like going through
Mm-hmm.
that. And no doubt it's one of the most difficult things to do
Mm-hmm.
out there. But you're gonna make it through it. No.
Exactly. Like it's going to be 9 months of it's going to be hard. There's like no promise that it's going to be easy, but like if you can just stick it out to at the end of those 9 months, you have just done the most selfless thing,
Mm.
and you had a baby. You brought a baby into this world. Whether they keep the baby or they have the baby get adopted, like you've just given someone the most amazing gift for your act of courage for just staying pregnant. But yeah, my heart goes out to all the women who've thought that this was their only
Mm.
choice, because they whether or not
And
they'll
it's like
admit it.
I
Yeah,
don't blame them either.
yeah,
It's like what they've heard, what
yeah,
they've been around,
yeah.
and it's just it's definitely a thing that uh, like definitely surrounding the lies and such that it's just it's very sad. Yeah, were there any more like definitely like the other side like arguments that you can think of that you often hear quite a bit?
Um, Not necessarily. I guess just like the it being my choice. I know they tend to get
Oh,
very unhappy
yeah.
when a man makes the choice.
Hmm.
The Supreme Court is, I don't even know the ratio, 4, 5 guys.
Yeah, and there's I mean,
Um,
let's see, there's oh yeah, let's look that up real
but
quick.
yeah, anyways, when like the man is the father too. There was takes two to tango. Like I don't know. Um, that's just a hard one to refute, I guess, as well, because the man would also be a parent in this situation. He doesn't have to carry the baby, obviously, for 9 months. But I do think they deserve a voice, and more men need to speak out about it and not be afraid that it's not their place.
So there is, let's see, yeah, there's nine. Uh, I think there's three or four women on the Supreme Court. Um, and I definitely thought that was crucial too. Like if they're gonna make that ruling, to have women on the courts, and I believe if I'm not wrong, I'll look that up just to make sure I'm not saying something stupid. Um, uh, just to see like the ruling. 'Cause I think a few of the women on the Supreme Court, they voted to like end Roe v. Wade,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought that was definitely important to have that voice up there. Um, and oh, I can't remember what you were talking about. Oh, right, you said earlier I know another one was the like the my body my choice, and that's definitely true. Where they, um, I like the question too. Is like when you ask somebody who if they were pregnant, it's like uh how many fingers and toes do you have? Well,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, well, of course I have 10 fingers, 10 toes. Well, if it's your body, you should have
Yeah.
20 toes and 20 fingers, and um, it's a deal where uh, it's I think I can't remember which podcast it was, but there I was listening to one where it's like referring to the baby is just like uh not it's like part of I think they said something like it's a part of their body, but it's like more of like a parasite feeding off the
Mm-hmm.
resources, and I just thought not a mother, I'm guessing,
No.
to
Yeah.
refer to the baby as a parasite.
Exactly. So they're sometimes their arguments are just, I don't know. They throw a lot at you, and sometimes it doesn't make sense, but it's hard to remain prudent
Sure.
and
That might be the harder thing to do is like to stay like civil about
yeah.
it. I think too, right? You said something about like men on the side of pro-choice. I'd say um, like women on the side of pro-choice, they love that when men are agreeing with them.
Yeah.
But as soon as like a man is on the other side of that,
Yeah.
no, you don't. Sorry,
Absolutely
you don't
not.
get to have an
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah. Get out of our bodies, get out of this. Like it's again, it's only convenient when it's what
Mm,
you want, and
mm.
it's what you agree with.
Yeah, for sure. Um, and I think the last one that I can remember off the top of my head, and I'm sure there are others out there that are um, interesting. Um, it's it's the one right where it's oh you're pro life. Well, how many kids have you adopted?
Mm-hmm.
How many babies have you adopted? And I think that's just such like uh like a disingenuous argument because it takes off like the focus of abortion,
Mm-hmm.
and like secondly it it not only like goes off the topic, but it it's such kind of like a blatant nothing because
Mm-hmm.
it's you can say that just about anything. It's like, oh, you oppose slavery.
Yeah.
Well, how many slaves have you freed?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I can oppose or support something without like necessarily like physically being
Yeah.
involved in it.
Yeah.
Um, and I believe that's sort of connected to the other one too, right? Where
Mm-hmm.
it's you can only be a part of it like if you are it, or if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Like you don't get like
An
you
opinion
don't
if
get an
you're yeah,
opinion if you've never been pregnant. You
right.
don't get opinion if you've never had an abortion. Like no, that's I do get an opinion because my mom chose life and because I
Right.
am here to fight for the millions and millions of kids who are not here in our generation.
Absolutely.
So,
Um let's see. And I guess sort of getting into like the I'd say definitely like more well, I guess first we kind of go with like the hypocrisies of like some mm, excuse me, on the sort of maybe some like what people deem hypocrisies on the pro life side. Um definitely talked about people have talking about like if you're pro life but if at the same time you're pro death penalty,
mm-hmm.
like people see that as a fairly big hypocrisy.
Mm-hmm.
um I know at least for me, um I think where this idea of like the life is, well, I mean, biologically and like socially, life is precious, definitely. But where I think I get that meaning from is just honest, like definitely the faith that I have.
Yeah.
So it's never a great option when a human life has to end.
Mm-hmm.
But I think definitely a distinction needs to be made where it's like a newborn baby
Mm-hmm.
versus a criminal
Yeah.
who has like, done a bunch of horrible things
Mm-hmm.
and has, gone to prison over and over and has been there and, in the system for like 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, somebody who does not need to be reintroduced to society whatsoever. I think there's definitely something to be said for like that distinction there.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely understand on that side there. People are like, he's a terrible person. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it'd be terrible. Like, they repeated time and time again. You let them out and they come back and they just keep doing all these terrible things. They are costing the U.S. government $1 million
Sure.
a year to keep them fed and keep them healthy. But I believe that at any point, they might be on their last breath, but they still have a chance for God's mercy and God's forgiveness. And when we step in the way of that and decide, nope, today you're going to die, so I hope you've prayed enough to God before this day, we are interfering with their life. And
A little bit of a sidetrack.
Yeah.
I know obviously like the Dahmer show was like extremely popular, and that was like a controversial episode where he like talked to the pastor in prison and said if he possibly well he got baptized in prison, and he supposedly gave his life to God. So that's a question, right? Does a person like that, sort of like a little side tangent from this, but like does a person like that go to heaven? And that's a question I can honestly say I don't know.
We
that's
don't know.
that's up to Jeffrey and God. Like that's
exactly.
I don't know.
And that's kind of like the point of like whether it's an unborn, a preborn baby, or a criminal like Dahmer, we have no right to interfere with their life and their salvation. Because, whether or not Dahmer's was just an act of, I'm going to play Christian, and so they think I am better, whether that doesn't matter to us. That's just between him and God. Same between the unborn baby and God. Like,
So would it be fair to say that you're like without putting words in your mouth, you're even against like pro-death penalty?
Yes, I
gotcha.
Yeah, I agree. I don't. That's just my opinion.
Well, I can respect that because that's fairly
But
consistent.
I used to not be this way.
Gotcha.
Until like I learned more about the Catholic faith.
Yeah.
And the teachings, and honestly calling myself a hypocrite of being like, okay, why do I support life? Of course, it's this innocent baby who has done absolutely nothing wrong, but just like, we're just going to keep using the example of Jeffrey Dahmer, but like the worst of the worst people, like,
yeah, for sure,
we still want to see them in heaven. God wants them just as much as he wants me and you.
Absolutely.
And it's not our place to not let that happen.
Yeah, for sure. And it's definitely a thing, right, where I don't know, it's probably not like on the hypocrisy side, but you've definitely heard like when it comes to politics, there's definitely that distinction of separation of church and state, which definitely has its place like historically. And being on sort of a conservative, I'd go with like more moderate for me, but like a moderate Christian, I understand historically why church and state needs to be separated. But at the same time, it's a deal on talking about the like moral implications of abortion, and that can't just be, thrown to the wayside.
Yeah. I think there's so many scientific arguments
Yeah.
for why abortion should not be happening that we don't even need to touch on God. Like, we don't even need to mention that I'm a Christian to bring up all these points of why we should not be doing abortion.
Yeah. That's definitely true too. It's the deal. I think, yeah. Oh, that's where I was going with that. It's like, well, you're just saying that because you're a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, there's
like we believe in science. We are
yeah.
absolutely pro science.
Yeah, that's definitely a common misconception as well. And I think a question I've heard definitely quite a bit is I can't remember the exact context of it, so that I apologize, but it's definitely a question that I've had for a lot of people, like on the pro-choice side, is and it's like asking like that distinction again of like, when would it be okay? And the question I always sort of think of is like, well, would you be in support of abortion, like regardless of any situation? And it's tough, right? Because I think this is kind of where we're getting into possibly the more I guess like sort of heartbreaking and definitely like harder bits of the conversation. Because when it comes to like definitely the sort of extreme side of abortion, there's no doubt that there has mention of like, sort of rape and incest. And in that situation, it gets, I think, so much more complicated. And while I definitely think that, definitely knowledge nor ignorance doesn't change the fact that it's still a life, and it's obviously still terrible, these acts. I guess to sort of sum it up, the contraception doesn't matter as much as like the life itself, I suppose. Not conception. That's the word I was going for. It's not like, the infant's fault. Like the struggling with that word. The birth doesn't, or the making of the baby doesn't like determine the life, the value of the life of the baby. Like, it's still the act itself horrible, obviously, but that doesn't determine the value. And I guess that's a tough conversation, right? Because in a sort of like in a legal sense or in a political sense, that is definitely sort of a harder like push to go for the pro-life side on that. And while I may definitely think that it's definitely still a life and definitely still has value, there's, I guess, like it sort of easier argument to be made on the other side for an abortion when it comes to rape and incest. But I just wanted to get your thoughts on that, sort of specific situation.
Yeah. I mean, it's horrible, obviously, what they are going through. But again, it's not the baby's fault. There is a baby there for a reason. There is a reason that you became pregnant, and that happened. And from there, you can choose to do good with that. You can hear lots of stories from women who decided to get an abortion, and they're still living with the consequences of that. They still live with the pain of that, and getting an abortion after that happens is not going to solve any of the pain. It's not going to make any of that go away. I think the topic of abortion, there can't be a middle ground. You're either respect life from conception to birth, or you either don't. Kind of go, I guess, like when you, in a lot of political, social issues, whatever, we can
try to make it black and white.
We can find middle ground. Okay, we'll just say left and right for ease of context, but left wants sales tax to be 10%. The right wants sales tax to be 2%. We can find common ground, say sales tax is going to be 6%. But you can't do that with abortion. You know, the right can't say, okay, after the first trimester, after 12 weeks, no abortion. But the left, you know, might say, okay, well, we want up to 32 weeks, you know, third trimester. We can't make a common ground and just say, okay, 20 weeks. And because what's the fundamental reason? Why are we fighting to end abortion in the first place? Because it is life. It's been a life since the moment that baby was created up until the time of abortion. Like, it's been a life. It's still going to be a life. It's still going to form into a life. So I don't see an exception.
Gotcha. So like it's definitely like sort of another sort of tough question. So like you hear like a lot of people have that position, right, where it's like pro-life with, you know, the exception of rape and incest, because that's where it gets, you know, a lot more gray. So like you hear, that position is somewhat quite often where it's like, yeah, pro-life, except for, you know, those two situations, because it gets more messy.
And even when like the mother's life is risked, and she has 5 kids before this, and now like she's pregnant again, but she's probably going to lose her life. That's another wonder, like, what do we do here?
And that, I guess, and that it is, I mean, no doubt it is tough. And I'd say at least, I mean, it's definitely hard as it is. I'd say definitely like possibly like on the legal side, on like the political side of things. I'd say that's the only reason that it would ever needed, like the only reason that abortion would ever need to like exist really is for those specific situations, because obviously nobody on pro-life is saying if the mother could possibly die from the pregnancy, then yeah, she should definitely go through with it. No, like if she's in peril, obviously it's a terrible situation, but we want people to, you know, live, you know, we don't want people to, you know, throw their own life, you know, just cautiously into the wind. And it's definitely not an easy decision. And it's, I think I definitely agree though on the more like maybe philosophical or like moral side of it, that like one immoral act, you know, cannot be fixed by another immoral act. And it's a deal, right, where I definitely see the side of in that situation, obviously, to never like blame the victim in that scenario. But as we talked about a little bit with accountability and self-worth, you wouldn't go to St. Louis and start, you know, waving around a gold chain or whatever and just say, look how nice this, you know, and talking about accountability and stuff like that, it's again not just a women specific thing of like you hear that quite a bit of like what they wear, what they do. I mean, there's a little bit of that, but I'd say there's more emphasis that needs to be put on the men's side of it. Like, there's a lot of young boys like run around and not like enough like men who like have a respect for um, the women and wouldn't even think to do some of those horrible things, and so I mean there's definitely a side of I understand why some folks think that I'd say probably the more like uber conservative or like women need to dress a certain way or they need to they need to do a certain thing. But me personally, I think that kind of more falls on the guy to make that uh, decision. And I definitely lucky enough to grow up in a household where those morals and things like that were definitely taught to. You have to respect women for all these good reasons, and it's definitely like an issue that we all gotta like kind of be like, well, we're definitely there's definitely sort of two sides to it and we'll definitely disagree, but it's definitely an issue that transcends like race, sex, whatever. It's something that we all gotta kind of get on board and try to figure it out somewhat.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. There's definitely a lack of accountability in men. They definitely follow the more traditional side. Like men are providers. They need to be strong. They need to take care of women. But there's definitely.
It's not to say that women can't be strong too. There's strong, independent women who,
and that's a big problem with the whole feminist, whatever that
another topic.
But men just like looking at women like they are objects and letting that happen.
Yeah.
Which again is just horrible. That because after it happens, a lot of times that guy's gonna leave and never gonna see the girl again. So you got to feel for her, how alone she feels in that time.
Sure.
Like, how would I raise a baby on my own? How would I do this? I'm in college. I'm whatever.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty. I think that's a really solid test of like a man if, in that situation would happen, like in college, right? And if he sticks around or not, and it's like nobody's saying that it isn't hard, that it isn't scary.
No.
Even my dad, or many dads, right? It's like even when you plan it out to have a baby, it's gonna be scary as hell. And I think that's sort of a good way to sort of wrap it up here. Unfortunately, sort of running out of time, but I think that's a good place to end. That pregnancy is hard. It's like you said, it's never going to be quite how you planned it. There's always going to be things that there's a wrench that gets thrown in there somewhere. So it's going to be hard. It's going to have a lot of variables that are unpredictable. But like I think you said too, that it's a sacrifice that's well worth going through. But yeah, it's definitely a topic that is, like we said earlier, it's one of those topics in America right now that definitely probably bolstered by like the Supreme Court ruling that had more people talking about it. But it's definitely a thing that I understand why people don't want to talk about it. But like you said, for the sake of all the present, future children out there, it's something that has to be talked about. Is there any lasting things that you'd like to add?
Yeah, this is just something that continues to need to be talked about. Pro-life movement's been going on for decades and decades, and we're grateful for the strides we have made with the overturning of Roe v. Wade, but still a lot more to be done.
Sure. Alrighty. Well, I want to thank you for coming on. It was definitely, definitely I think an informative talk. I for sure learned something, and it's always cool to get a somewhat different perspective, even if you agree on a lot of things. I think it's always worthwhile to have the conversation. So, yeah, this was the another episode of the Political Power Hour. We'll see you next time.